Okay, that was 2 short exponential minutes. If I can have your attention, please, we'll have our last contestant, Michael Hayes. He has a Master of Science in Econometrics from London School of Economics. He is the CEO and founder of Plant Jammer, amongst other things. Give it up for Michael Hayes. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm Michael, and I'm excited to share with you my vision for how we can reconnect the food system. So this is California, 2015. There's a drought. There was also a drought in 16, in 14, in 13, and in 11. I was there in 15, and I thought, what can I do to not contribute to this problem? And I saw this billboard that gave me an answer. It said, if you want to save 5,000 liters of water, you can do one of 3 things. 1, you can not flush your toilet for the next 6 months in a row. 2, don't take a shower for 3 months in a row. Or the third option, don't eat 1 hamburger, this 1 lunch. It makes you realize we should probably reduce our meat consumption. And we should. 15% of CO2 or greenhouse gas emissions are coming from livestock. That is more greenhouse gas emissions that is coming from all transportation fuels combined. All planes, all boats, all cars, all trains, all of this. We do need to do something. People are realizing this and they're trying to do something in this space, particularly in the Silicon Valley. The problem is that all these solutions, they're all about the mindset of industrializing vegan. It's basically about centralization of a food chain. And we actually learned from other industries that centralization is not always the solution. It's not always bigger factories and bigger kitchens. We learned that from energy sector, right? This is Elon Musk and his Tesla wall. He talks about distributed generation. He got it right. You know, since the 50s, we've been doing it wrong in energy. We've been building bigger and bigger coal-fired power plants, hydro plants, nuclear plants, and so on. We get big supply very far away from demand. That creates a lot of waste. So his vision is one of distributed generation, producing energy close to where it's consumed. If only we had a technology in food that could create distributed generation. We do. It's called a kitchen. So we want to bring exponential technologies into the kitchen. Why? Well, 80% of all food being eaten in this world is actually being produced at a home kitchen. So if you want to touch the billion, we got to go for the home kitchen, not the factories. Also, we then start thinking, so how do we impact these people? How do they get from meats to plants? So we need to know that they actually know that they want to. It's not a question about the why, it's the how. How do you do this? So let's look at our friends, the plants. They're amazing. They are aromatic ninjas. Stuck in the ground, they cannot move towards what they like or away from what they're afraid of. So they become a chemical factory producing aromas to an amazing diversity that could become an amazing experience in your kitchen. If only you knew how to interconnect all those aromas with your sensory system. This is where AI comes in. So what we do is we take a tremendous recipe database, 1.5 million recipes. There's more than 1,000 ingredients in it, and in every ingredient we have the aromas in there. So we have the 140 aromas that constitute your flavor of banana. Yeah? That's a big database, right? So we use a neural network to understand patterns, and we get something beautiful, like this. Each point here is a food ingredient. The closer ingredients are, the better they go together in a dish. The further away they go from each other, the worse they go together in a dish. Now we can build a very new way of thinking of eating plants. So we can do something like this. This is what is in my fridge: banana, broccoli, hazelnut, olive oil, zucchini. I ask the algorithm what goes well together. It gives me a few options. I'll take the top one. And then I take a journey that's a path of least resistance to a final dish. What's in the top of this waterfall is what goes well with my existing choice. It's very simple. And you get a recipe at the end. So that's fine. We solved the problem of meat, right? We gamified plant-based cooking. We can go home. Not quite, because that will be symptom treatment. Because the problem behind all this is the disconnected food system that is not taking into account what's more sustainable. So let's take another step at the food chain now. Let's say that we have people using this, millions of people using this. Suddenly you will not have a generic flavor map like we showed before. You'll have an individual one. You'll have your flavor fingerprint. That's your own map. And that can create magic if you combine it with another technology. If you have your individual flavor map that's just yours based on what you like and what you like to combine with, and you combine that with sensor technology, you get something magical. There's a company called Innit. They make little cheap sensors you put in your kitchen, and they can measure these very aromas in your kitchen. You can also put it at the farm level. Think about that. That can really create another supply chain. So today, supply chain, there's retailers sitting here. They are making long-term contracts with farmers, and then they're pushing products to consumers. That's a centralized food system. We come with our technology. We have our individual flavor maps at the home. We have the sensors that shows us what we have in our kitchen and in our fridge. We have the farmers, when they come out with a new batch, we know what they're coming out with, and we can censor what taste flavor is coming out there as well. And you can actually use a blockchain-based new model where you're trading directly with the farm. Taking away, the middle step is just logistics now, not pushing products. That's distributed generation food. How would this feel like? This is me driving home in California to my family. It's cooking day, and it's getting late. I need to figure something out. So I asked the algorithm, what should I make? And I'm being told that 2 days ago in Sonoma County, these beautiful purple carrots just got out at a batch. And they have these interesting citrusy notes that fits right up there in your family's flavor, individual flavor fingerprint. So you might want to think about that. By the way, it also fits in that area is also the tomatoes you have at home and the lemon. How about you make a risotto? Yes, please. On your way to home, it's been picked up. There's already a place for picking up the ingredients for making it. You go home, or I go home, and I make this meal. I make this risotto. I sit with my family, and I talk to my kids about the citrusy notes. We talk about flavor in a way we couldn't do before. Because suddenly we have a language about flavor. And we get into our senses understanding this. We also have the connection with the farmers who created this particular carrot. So think about what we're doing here. We're taking an understanding of flavor, and we're bringing that as a vector for change. We're taking an understanding of flavor and we're creating health. We're getting mental health, because suddenly we're in our senses, knowing about senses, learning about that. That's like meditation every time you eat. We're getting physical health, because you're getting into a plant-based diet of non-processed foods. We are getting economic health, because finally, the farmers, they actually earn money on doing the right choices in their soil, because they can actually get value for making a better carrot. And we get planetary health, because we get a much more efficient food system, and it's plant-based. Thank you.
Do you have some questions left in you, Jerry?
How did you validate the flavor map that you threw up there? One, that's fascinating to me. And two, I thought that I saw olive oil a really long way away from garlic. Yeah. And to me, that seems like not a bad idea. Maybe I've been wrong all this time.
Very good. So first of all, we're out now trying to get actually sensoric studies, right? So you actually are testing the map and what it's showing. Some interesting points is we find out that zucchini and banana goes well together. And I was like, that's ridiculous, right? Try to go home and take a bite of a banana and a bite of zucchini, and you realize it's true. I went to a friend of mine who is a waiter at Geist, which is a Michelin star restaurant. And I told him that, and he was like, yeah, we've been using zucchini and banana all the time. So that's a little bit of a validation, right? So we get some results like that. We also get funny results, so we need to update the database. And I'm a big fan of olive oil and on garlic, so I'm going to have a look at what's happening there. You're not wrong.
So now the cooking time often is very stressful in a daily life. You come home and you don't have a lot of time and so on. And you need the recipe as well. So
Yes.
do you have any suggestions? How can you make life easy all the way from, I guess, getting the ingredients is also, I don't have time to go to the farmer, I guess.
Exactly. So it's a connected chain in the way there's still a logistics chain. So the idea of here was basically you pick up the bag on your way home from work. It's been collected and gathered by a picker,
Okay.
which is probably a robot, right?
And then you get
In
the
terms of cooking,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So we're building basically a big if and then else function that tells you, makes this into a recipe at the end, based on what we know, how you process the individual ingredients best, the time it takes, so you get a full recipe at the end as well. And obviously this will be in a conversation with your Amazon Alexa as you're cooking in your home, so you don't need to use your wet hands on the smartphone, right?
So essentially, this is a pull strategy instead of a push away from meat. You're pulling people into taste and into a vegetarian diet. But what if you are just in love with the flavor of meat? I mean, how are you sure that it will actually make the change that you're going for?
That's a very, very fair question. I think, first of all, it is a pull strategy. And the whole idea is to say there's an amazing kingdom we haven't even touched. That's the plant kingdom. Because we always cook the same things. If you ask Danes, 90% of Danes, they make less than 10 different dishes a year, right? Even though they have more than 10 cookbooks. So this is a way to nudge you to do different, to change and try habits. And our target is actually not vegan and vegetarians, it's what we call flexitarians. It's for that 1 or 2 days a week where you reduce your meat consumption. If we get 1 billion people to have just one weekly day without meat, more than they do today, we're reducing as much CO2 as you would by converting 250 million cars from fossil power to electric. That's all personal cars in the US, Germany, and the UK. So, you can really have an impact if you're touching a lot of people by getting into their homes.
Seems that was the final word. Good job, Michael.
Thank you.